This is your December 2023 soul story. If you have a sun rising or moon in the sign, you might find this reading resonates. It's Romy. Appreciate you joining me on the channel for our final soul story of the year, and thank you for all your support this last 12 months if you're a regular. So we're opening up this month with the energy of the Ace of Coins. And this is a month where it's not about reacting, but rather reflecting. And with that, we need to bring this intentionality, because as you do, then you're more likely to be able to see where the sparks of inspiration or the opportunities reside to be able to not only dramatically improve situations, but also sort of set yourself up for an improved experience as you move into the new year. And, you know, the gift that comes this month, in fact, December is a time where you should expect to see a whole convoy of gifts arriving, not necessarily materialistically, but spiritually, emotionally, and energetically. And with that, also a strong undertone of healing, compassion, much needed at this time. And so what we see is that something is also being offered to you that perhaps may help to build a bridge. You are, of course, moving through 5th house energy in Sagittarius season, and so that heart chakra is wide open, which doesn't mean that you have to accept people crossing boundaries or trampling over it, but I think your willingness and the choices that you're making to not turn away, but rather to face and accept and feel whatever it is that's surfacing for you will absolutely enable a much richer experience through the month of December. Venus is going to move into Scorpio from the 4th of the month, and in regards to our relationships, you know, there's an intensity, a passion, but a deep desire for truth. Now, the chemistry is high when we have Venus in Scorpio, but what we need to remember is that even though chemistry can draw you towards somebody or keep you infatuated or in lust or obsessed with someone, what we really want to be seeking at this moment in time, especially as you reflect and think about this last 12 months, is compatibility. And so, you know, whether that chemistry is romantic or platonic or professional, are you compatible? Do your values align? Do you feel safe? Is there a sense of trust and presence? And, you know, I think this is going to be quite important in this early part of December as you witness some of the interactions. And, you know, this is a time, of course, for closing out. It's also got an increased sensitivity, you know, through the month, and everyone feels affected in different ways for different reasons, which is why that the intentionality that we seek you to bring through December is so important, because otherwise we can end up in a sort of default setting that is really bringing about like unconscious or impulsive or habitual patterns. And I think as you strive for something better and you're looking to improve your circumstances, and that Ace of Coins is really sort of encouraging and nurturing that experience through December, you want to be really aware of these things. Part of that is going to be watching your assumptions and seeing how they're dictating your experiences this month. Remembering that they are hugely subjective and, you know, of course connected into, you know, your experiences, fragments, pieces of the puzzle from your past. Now we've got the Wheel of Fortune arriving in, and as we make our way towards the new moon in Sagittarius on the 12th of the month, we will activate the 12-12 portal. We've got this fire energy, speaking your language, but we also have this interesting interjection from Uranus at that new moon. So there are likely to be some surprises. Now, I quite like that it's coming right after that Ace of Coins for you through the month of December, because like I said, it's about kind of setting you up for experiences. Some of those may be quite immediate through the month of December. Some of them may be about, you know, what you put in place or what you're able to secure for yourself moving into the early part of the new year. What's important when these things arrive, and I know it sounds maybe a little bit, you know, straightforward and obvious, but, you know, when doors open for us or conversations happen and fate and synchronicity seems to align, we have to reflect. And this is why I'm saying it's not necessarily about immediately reacting, but reflecting, like, do I feel worthy of this? Do I feel ready for this? Can I see myself moving forth in this way? Because so often we are the thing that gets in our own way. And I just have this sense of you almost like being given like really interesting progressive opportunities this month, and for whatever reason either talking yourself out of them or not really believing in the validity of them, and therefore it not kind of creating the full experience that's meant to be delivered for you with the arrival of that Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so keep that in mind, especially in and around the new moon, because they will come in unexpectedly. And again, sometimes when things catch us off guard and we're just not mentally, emotionally prepared, again, we can sort of react impulsively just based on previous experience of like, no, I don't have the time. This feels too risky. No, this is not for me. But I think that you need to feel that you're giving yourself the opportunity to be more open and more curious about where this can go. And, it's also connected to this belief that you have changed and evolved to the degree that you are ready to make perhaps a bigger shift in one of the areas of your life. Because when that wheel shows up, it's not insignificant. It's likely to be the precursor to something more fundamentally kind of happening in your world that necessitates a moving on or letting go or drawing a line. And that again can be one of the reasons why we say this is not the right time, or I'm not just ready for this. But the Eight of Cups is kind of calling you, and that inextricable pull is just going to keep whispering at you. And so even if you don't make firm final decisions through the month of December, don't shut the door or pinch yourself off. Like, just give it time to settle and to process. Because through the month of December, the healing energy and the way in which astrologically you're being guided to, kind of consider and go back over and recognize how far you've come, but also just prepare and open yourself up to a lot of the new energy, ultimately, I feel will lead you inevitably towards making that choice and decision. Okay. Now, we're going to also welcome Neptune stationing direct. That's going to happen on the 6th of the month. And so perhaps for some of you, the inspirations, the dreams, and the sort of creative ventures that you had undertaken or thought about, considered through the course of 2023, and they just, for whatever reason, weren't really given the opportunity to be fulfilled, didn't materialize, didn't gain the momentum, didn't really evolve in the way that you'd anticipated or expected. And so there's something about, with the stationing direct of Neptune, you seeing it in a new light, being given things in a different context, and then just having like a resurgence energy around something that makes you realize how much you want it, makes you realize how important it still is to you. And I think you do need to hear that, or you need to almost like speak that or feel that for yourself. Like, you need to kind of align with how significant and important this still is, because in some ways it's going to help to bring about a renewal of focus and ignite something within you, which again can then be harnessed around that new moon in Sagittarius with that 12/12 portal, and just really help you to actually make, even if it's small steps, really important progress in the month of December that's going to be immeasurable in terms of like the difference it can make through January, February for you as you consider what the next step is going to be. Okay. Now, as we make our way towards Capricorn energy, and we have the solstice arriving 21st, 22nd, this is a beautiful moment of stillness and a seasonal adjustment that comes in. And this is where like the traditions become so incredibly meaningful. Clearly this time of year around the holiday season, tradition is something that, comes through, but not in the overexposed, ram down your throat consumerism. There's something about the traditions that you have on a deeply personal, intimate level within your own family, within your friendships, for yourself. And either that you're bringing something back or you're creating something new. And really this sort of remembrance that it's how people seek comfort, it's how they honour, it's how they find resonance and a sense of belonging. And I see you sort of really intrinsic and sort of igniting and bringing that to fruition again, or really highlighting in it in a more straightforward, stripped back, simplified way, but helping support everybody's feelings about where they're at this moment in time, and actually really supportive, particularly around that solstice energy, in part of the ritual of release and letting go of this year. And certainly there's an experience in December about this sort of vice-like grip that you may have encountered through the course of the last 12 months on one or more areas of your life starting to dissolve. And you are in a lighter frequency than you've ever been, even though you may look around and feel that things feel heavier than they've ever felt. And so sometimes, like, the conflict between those two realities, can cause that sense of internal discord or split or fracture in your energetic experience. Now, where we have the 2 cups and the 4 of cups, of course, in this 5th house with your heart chakra open, there's things you want to say. And for whatever reason, there's a hesitancy through the course of December to, perhaps with one or maybe more than one specific individual, have the belief that it's the right thing to communicate or to share what you're thinking and feeling. You yourself, of course, need to feel more deeply into that. All I'm going to say to you, though, is that if we continue to emotionally suppress, there is always a physical trigger that ends up happening. And it just feels like, in order for you to find some sense of acknowledgement, acceptance, and actually make peace with a situation, even if it isn't ideal, even if it's not what you wanted or expected or hoped for, even if things look like they're not moving in the direction that your desires are being activated, it still feels necessary to be able to just share, this is what's going on for me, so that there is no regret and no resentment. And, yes, you might have an experience where something falls and it, kind of lands with someone and you don't really get much of a response. And, sometimes that can be even more challenging and sort of create a bit of a sense of chaos around us. And yet, what we're seeing playing out for you is actually the willingness to be honest and transparent and authentic helps to draw towards you more of this compatibility energy in some of the connections that are meant to be in your world moving forward. So this could be showing up across the board, professionally, within a family dynamic or your personal relationships. But it is also talking to me about your deep desire to find that perfect vibrational match with the thing or the person that's really going to help to elevate you and kickstart something and help create that catalyst for change. And, the 4 of Cups may also indicate that for some of you, you've got to this point in the year and there's some mixed feelings about what you've been through and what's shown up for you or hasn't. But it doesn't detract from your ability to really start to reimagine and to actually take some of the energy that is feeling like it's moving in the right direction. And because we do have more of this harmonious feeling through the month of December, it does make having those conversations a little bit easier. Now, we also need to remember on the 12th that Mercury is going to station retrograde for its final one of the year, initially in Capricorn, and then it moves into Sagittarius on the 22nd. What we have here is, an opportunity to revisit and come back to different situations. We've got 3 swords here. On a practical level, of course, you want to make sure some of the travel plans are well and truly sorted, or you maybe have some plan B or C, any gifts are ordered nice and early. But I think by way of the conversations, and I also want to pull in the fact that, we have an incredibly powerful healing full moon in Cancer coming in on the 26th, but Chiron, the wounded healer planet, also stationing direct, and, some beautiful astrological conversations happening with that moon, sextile Jupiter, trining with Saturn. And, it's important to recognize that, the revisitation that Mercury inevitably brings about by way of some of the conversations or interactions that need to happen to draw a line, to get to the truth, to hear something that had been absent or missing from the context of what you'd been given previously. And so all of that information being incredibly powerful and actually initiating something that is profoundly cathartic for you. So rather than it arriving as like a brand new upset, so to speak, I kind of see the Three of Swords as just almost the awareness that you've already got, that there was something unresolved here and that it's been sat there perhaps for some time, and you knew it needed to be addressed. And through the month of December, it will be, and you will be able to start the process of fully freeing and releasing yourself from it. And that in and of itself creates space for something really quite extraordinary to show up. And again, that Ace of Coins, Wheel of Fortune is telling me like this is on the horizon, this is where we're heading. So let's also remember that full moon in Cancer is actually the second full moon in Cancer of the year. Like the first one that we had was back on January 6th. And so this is like a revisitation, Act 2. So what was revealed, what was released, what was activated. If you can cast your mind back to that time, we're having an opportunity to kind of further deepen into these themes, but also to kind of bring the ultimate closure for them, as this sort of bookending experience kind of just helps us draw the year to a close. And because the energy is a little bit more harmonious for this one, then it does help you to find some semblance of peace. And remember, we don't always have to like what we see or what we hear or what we have to face, but in doing so, there is a kind of natural sense of being free of something just because we've been able to kind of pull it up from our unconscious, our subconscious, or from the avoidance or the lack of like knowing or transparency, and now like everything out in the open. We also have a really beautiful aspect on the 25th, so just right over that holiday season, which is nice, seeing as the last couple of years we've had some more tricky, tense encounters. Venus will trine with Neptune, and it almost brings in something that is wanted. Okay, an experience, a situation, maybe a gift, but whatever it is, it just brings about a more harmonious experience. So again, at least these conversations astrologically are not working against us. Now, clearly there's still an intensity that continues to be a powerful current in this time, but where we have an opportunity in December to really seek compassion within ourselves, to be our own champion, to be our own source of comfort and security, and then offer that to those that we feel strong and able to protect, to connect with. This is the shift and the change that we need. And one of the things, I want to sort of highlight, especially with that full moon Cancer, is that, so often like soul family to many is not necessarily blood family. And, if you have had a particularly difficult, challenging experience with blood family and you really seek those nurturing, loving connections elsewhere, we also need to remember that, sometimes coming from those type of experience, we can end up attracting within the soul family similar dynamics. And then, it can be like a repeated trauma experience that's showing up. And so there is something that's being highlighted for you as well, I think, where you're reflecting upon the people that, are not necessarily blood family, but, you are choosing to spend time with, or you have through the course of this year, but also realizing that perhaps some of those connections haven't been particularly healthy for you. And again, there might be some shifting and changing in your thought process around, where you want to invest moving into the new year. And that again can be a difficult experience or conversation to have with yourself before you perhaps take any action around it. But because I see something coming in for you that is 100% meant for you in the month of December, Leo, it is going to require action and effort and a tremendous amount of self-belief. And so that means you have to remove yourself from the stress or the energies that you know are not fully supporting you, even if they like to think they are, but you know by experience and by action that they don't necessarily have your best interests or your back. And so, you know, it's perhaps a little bittersweet, but at the same time, this is also a month that's holding an awful lot of opportunity, and it's holding an awful lot of possibility, and it's also giving you the chance to kind of then spend more time and create more space in your world for the people and things that actually make you feel incredibly good. And again, I'm sort of being drawn back to this idea of the traditions. Now, we're also going to see Jupiter stationing direct on the 30th, yeah? So we get a gift when this happens. You know, it might come through spiritually, emotionally, some sort of experience, but more tangibly possibly with Jupiter being in Taurus. But again, that being like a significant validation, I think, for some of the things that you've been thinking about, the work that you've been doing within yourself, on yourself, actually getting some credit and some reward for what you have been doing these last few weeks and months. And again, that making it easier for you to make the decisions that inevitably are going to mean that perhaps not everyone or everything can come with you for where you're going. And that's okay, you know, because we're going to meet new experiences and new people along the way. But the most important thing is this intentionality and this not reacting, but rather reflecting and really helping that to be the source of your guidance and the truism of sort of what you know is like right for you, what's being activated within. If you're new to the channel, our last 3 cards we cover in the extended reading. I'm going to talk for another 30 minutes or so, deeper into this reading for the month, and also looking at a personal card, a relationship card. We're also going to take a quick preview of a major arcana for your year ahead, Leo. So you can find that in the comment and description box underneath. I'm just going to go ahead and clarify these cards and see some of the messages we'll be working with. We've got Queen of Wands coming through. Love that for you. Hierophant energy. So this month I've created for the soul journeys a beautiful closing out ceremony for the year, helping you to make peace and release any cords or ties. And I've also created for those of you that have perhaps some more tricky situations to navigate with family or relationships, or even your experiences around abundance or scarcity at this time of year, a series of affirmations, and they will really support you, help to ground, recenter and balance your energy. So again, you can check these out in the links below. Queen of Pentacles here, beautiful. There's just something that you want to explore, something that you want to move forward with. I don't know why there's this hesitation that I get though, you know, maybe you're just overly concerned with what that might mean to others or the changes that it's inevitably going to bring. Another 4 of Cups there. Okay, Tower, 2 of Wands. Let's put one more there. Okay. You are, I feel, you know, with that 3 of Swords and the Tower, like you're just given insight into the why of something. And, you know, I think you needed to hear it. You need to receive it. Okay, so we're going to look at some oracles. This is Life Soul Vision, which is my own deck. So please check that out if you're new to the channel over my website. My Sacred Titles, the oracle deck and the book. Beautiful gifts for you or your loved ones. Just with that Mercury retrograde, make sure you order nice and early if you're shipping overseas. Portals of Possibility, we've got Solstice showing up. I love that for this month, of course. Rainbow Dragon and the Wild Rose. We've got the Sun, lovely. Collective Heart. And eclipse revelations. Might still be dealing with some fallout from October, you know, with that Libra solar eclipse on the 14th and the lunar eclipse in Taurus on the 28th. Okay, so a couple more oracle cards for Leo for the month of December. The She-Wolf, unleash the wild within, beautiful. Finally. Okay, we have turning inward. Inside this veil of bone and flesh, I lay my soul to sleep. All the truths within thy breath have come to greet me. Okay, we'll explore these in our extended reading. Thank you for being here, all your support this year. I wish you a peaceful holiday season. And I look forward to connecting with you in 2024. Please check out the affirmations and closing ceremony to support you as you navigate through this sensitive time of the year, but also harness into the healing energies and the compassion that can really help you to resolve, make peace, and set yourself up beautifully for the experiences that are on their way for 2024. You take good care. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.